Wow. You know, it's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. You ever heard that story? It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. From the most famous DEI puppets. Yep, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. You know, guys, that was Mr. Dressup. I think pretty much the root of...
Actually, it was Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers. Mr. Dressup is Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Dressup is not Mr. Rogers. Let's go. Yeah. Mr. Dressup and Mr. Rogers were not the same thing. Let's go on.
Wow, I made a mistake.
Mr. Dressup was on CBC. Mr. Rogers was on PBS. Way to go. Let's start that again. Go ahead, Stuart. We're good.
Oh, boy. Welcome to the go-to podcast for unfiltered, unapologetic discussions. I'm one of your hosts, Stuart Brisgell. And that's why the other host, that's David Sullivan. We tackle a diverse range of topics and candid conversation, bold opinions, whether we're breaking out the latest headlines, exploring pop culture, debating politics, delving into complexities of modern life. This is a platform for every perspective. So grab a seat, settle in as you join into an unedited version of the Rant Network, which, by the way, they're always unedited, unapologetic. So as we got started, David had to make it a point of correcting me because I made a mistake. And that feels rather uncomfortable when you do that. However, is it more uncomfortable telling an ordinary white guy you should feel sorry for all those people that aren't, and it's your fault that those people aren't getting those things? Wow. Sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? There's something called DEI that stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It was a framework that the Democrats and Russians, I like to call them, ushered in. And in the United States, inclusion organizational framework that seeks to promote fairness and full participation for all, particularly groups that historically have been underrepresented, or code word is you should villainize everyone that isn't underrepresented, even if those representations of people, whatever it is, didn't exist before the minute they thought of them. Sounds insane. Well, David, when you're talking about DEI insanity, did I really get it now? Because you're an ordinary white guy picking on a guy who made a mistake. Well, was that nice of you, David? That wasn't nice of you, David. But people aren't all as smart as you, David. Maybe you got set up today for that one. But
look, no, come on. And look, forget. I mean, I know Stuart is trying to make fun of his mistake, and don't worry about it, people. We're gonna get him checked out. But look, here's the way this story, really came to front. Target a few years ago, if you recall, put out some merchandise out there, and it kind of got really backlash during, Pride Month, and really a lot of people were critical of the companies where they're just pride washing as they were using, and there was a lot of criticism, and so of course there was a pullback, and Target got criticism, and then again they got criticism for canceling DEI initiatives. Now, the theory behind DEI makes a lot of sense. Let's create equity. Let's give people an equal chance to get the jobs, to work to where they need to be. Makes a whole lot of sense. On paper, it is theoretically okay, but with one proviso, that everybody has the right, the equal chance to get it. Now, I understand you want balance. I understand we want diversity around the table. I'm one in my professional career, tell business owners that when you don't have diversity around the table, diversity of thought around the table, not necessarily color of skin, not necessarily religion, but diversity of thought, then you create an interesting and exciting culture, an exciting business culture. But what the DEI folks wanted to do was not to create a diversity of thought, but a diversity of skin and a diversity of those who should be at a table. And in the so-called inclusion had to exclude people. Now, DEI went one step further by bringing critical race theory into it. You decided that in order to make people understand the value of DEI, we have to go and tell people of Stuart and my persuasions, no, you are not welcome. Now, I'm really not quoting me. Please do not understand. This didn't come from me.
Nope.
This statement literally came from a culture, diversity and equity and inclusion expert that I spoke to this week, that she went to mid-sized to large corporations to work with them on their corporate culture. And the people who wanted DEI were creating a toxic culture in an organization that empowered another group over another in a punitive fashion. Now, where does this create inclusion? Where does this create equity? Where does this bring in diversity? No, what it did was demean people. What it mean was make people feel bad and tell them they were wrong, that they were the ones wronged and you were wrong. Now, where is this coming from now in timing? Is because Al Sharpton, the famous reverend who's on MSNBC, that lunatic channel of lefties gone wild, he meets with the Target CEO and says, we had a really good conversation because Target should put back its DEI policies. To hell with Donald Trump, who decided to cancel the DEI initiatives. He straight out signed an executive order in January ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity. So now let me go back to that culture person I spoke about, that business culture individual, who, by the way, is a visible minority, who has dealt with racism. And I asked her straight out, Donald Trump did this and said, let's go to merit-based. And I want to tell you something. She lives in the Northeast of the United States, and she was highly uncomfortable in the conversation. So I said, excuse me, I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. She says, no, I'm just used to getting backlash if I agree with Donald Trump and merit-based opportunity. And so I said to her, don't sweat it. Like, we believe in merit-based. Why would an organization want to go to merit-based versus this DEI, which has and she said to me, she goes, listen, we see that culture of excellence is when there is diversity around the table, that you have the right people at the table. And then when you have the right people on the team that don't bring toxicity, then you've got a success. So I said, does that matter with their skin color? Does that matter their religion? Does that matter of their sexual persuasion? She says, absolutely not. And there's exactly what Donald Trump was trying to do. It's not about creating racism, which is what the Reverend Al Sharpton and the rest of these loonies want to bring to the table. It's all they want their policy. They want their agenda, Stuart. Imagine telling someone who's an expert in this field who comes straight out and says, it's not about your skin. It's about your.
The argument is merit versus diversity. It's a debate. It pits the principles of awarding positions based off qualifications and achievements against goals creating inclusive and representative in a workplace. They argue that both are vital, right? Yeah, I don't want the second best doctor to amputate my arm, but they're not mutually exclusive. And a true meritocracy recognizes the diverse perspective, that there are people that are of all color, walks of life, colors, greens, that can be as good as everyone else. It seems idealistic more than it is in reality, because in fairness, equal opportunity doesn't mean I have to have a bell curve to bring those people up. And that's what a merit-based system should be in a capitalistic society. Again, I am not looking or discouraging anyone. I'm encouraging everyone. But that's not enough for the Al Sharptons or the DEI mavens. They want you to accept the second best person and the 10th best person because they fit a box. And that's the argument where diversity goes to die. And there is no dichotomy where DEI works in society. There is none, David. You can't have a true meritocracy. It can only be achieved if you systematically remove barriers, which we have. You have black presidents, black congressmen, black this, Asians this, Jewish this, Christians that. The bar has been removed, but it's never enough. Now it's a transgender part for DEI.
Well,
no, David. And again, they are now pushing the limits on even more. Like, hey, there's a famous YouTube video, TikTok, and Instagram post going around where a California cop pulls over a car driven by a cat.
With the cat? Yeah.
Yep. Now, let me tell you something. Do you think that officer deserved some DEI training?
Oh, but Starbucks did it. Remember Starbucks doing it? And Disney's done it. But you know what, Stuart? But I'm gonna tell you, and again, and Sharpton is just one of those. This is.
You mean the multi-millionaire Al Sharpton?
So he goes like this, and he posted it on Instagram yesterday. The DEI is under siege, and some are acting like it's dead. And he says the fight's not over. Today marks 67 weeks of straight action. We've been on the front lines outside of Bill Ackman's office in New York City, demanding accountability and pushing back on the corporate rollbacks. Now is the time to slow down. It's the time for Bill Ackman.
Yep. Bill Ackman. Yep.
Because who is Bill Ackman, Stuart?
Bill Ackman is one of the most famous modern Wall Street guys. But I can tell you how Sharpton is hooked in, because do you know who wanted to make DEI a reality? It's a civil rights movement that's gone wild. There was another show, Girls Gone Wild. The guy ended up going to jail or something like that. And if he didn't, I apologize to you, because I thought you did. The civil rights movement in its own was an altruistic movement. Martin Luther King spearheaded that, as far as my opinion. And he didn't say, I'm a black man. He just wanted to be a man.
And who was around him, by the way, Stuart? Who supported him? Who were the people that were around him? Who supported him?
White men and women.
And not only that, he had a whole diversity, including Jews, including others who were at the table.
Seymour Atlas from Birmingham, Alabama, a rabbi who I actually knew, who passed in 1992, who walked the walk with him, hand in hand. His synagogue was across from his church. How you like them apples?
And they walked together arm in arm. So is it all white men are wrong? Is it all? See, the problem is with DEI, and this is we're mixing a little bit of critical race theory in here, but the problem is that the program has been hijacked.
Yep.
And the folks that want it there have been upset. And I'll give you another example. I spoke to another so-called DEI expert, and he's African American. And his comment to me is, I'm sick and tired of all these other groups who are trying to hijack DEI. I said,
Morgan Freeman.
I said, hold on a second. I said, hijack. Who's hijacking? Neurodiversity. What is that? There's nothing there in terms of DEI. So someone who's autistic, someone who is dyslexic, who is having trouble, they shouldn't be at the DEI. They shouldn't be part of DEI program. Nope. It's a purely racial move.
Well, because DEI was hijacked by the liberal elite.
But what I'm saying is that it's, if you talk to the folks who are putting DEI programs in place, they are the ones who are going to tell you that it's their program. It's for only a particular group of people, and no one else should be involved in it. It's not real equity, Stuart. Nope. It is a version of hijacking. And what Donald Trump did was eliminated in government. We saw corporations en masse cutting it because it doesn't jive. It's not working. When something doesn't work, you need to fix it or kill it and rebuild it. And what people are upset about is the program that they so proudly built over years.
Well,
they hijacked corporations. Stuart, to tell me
American Express.
Listen, to tell other organizations that you bring a perfectly good candidate to the table and you see his skin color and he's immediately or she's immediately eliminated as a candidate. That's you know what? And the argument I got in the funny
racism.
So the argument I got from folks was, well, now you know how we feel. I say, so you're punishing me for something that my parents' generation may have done, but I'm getting punished. You're not creating balance. That's not balance.
Nope.
That's called punishment.
Nope. I agree. But you know what, David? That brings this podcast to a close.
Let's do it.
And that brings us to another episode. And no DEI in that, but there's an end, END. 3 letters. Anyways, guys, we truly appreciate you tuning in and sharing your time with us. Your support and engagement means everything. We continue to foster a thought-provoking conversation and sometimes very much unedited. Don't forget, we're here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. Stay connected through social media. Check our website out. We've got every episode there. Check our YouTube channel. You'll get not only every episode, you're going to get probably every snip that we've been putting up because I know you've been watching. Those snips are awesome, guys. Look, give us more likes, give us love, share us, and we'll be back here next Monday. Enjoy the weekend. Happy Easter for those celebrating. Be safe. And those finishing a Passover, have another slice of matzah, just a couple more days of constipation.
For those who celebrate Holy Week, all the very best to you, everybody. Stay well.